Hi there, my name is Mr. Oliver and I teach chemistry at Guido High School. And I want to take an opportunity to, with this video, to explain to you a little bit about how we've chosen to deliver some of the content in our chemistry courses. And we use the model called flipped learning, so we might as well tell you a little bit about what flipped learning is. Before I do that though, we need to kind of look at what a traditional classroom looks like. In a traditional classroom you have a student and you have a teacher, but you also have a whole lot of other students. And because of the fact that there's so many students, the content is usually delivered by the teacher at the front using lecture style or a lot of board notes, maybe some overheads or a PowerPoint or something like that. But the students are generally learning in a fairly passive environment. Well, then we take that student and we send them home. And when they get home, they now are asked to do homework. Now, if the student didn't really understand the material in class, they have questions, they get stuck. And being stuck without having a way to get unstuck can lead to frustrations. And then when we take that student, and perhaps that work never then gets done because the student didn't understand it, now the student goes back to class where maybe there's another content lesson delivered by a lecture or a lot of board notes or something like that, and the student still is frustrated and never understood the previous material. So we're really putting them behind the 8 ball for learning new material. So what happens in a flipped classroom? How is that different, and are there other advantages? Well, for one thing, let's take that student that we started with and we're going to start them at home. And while they're at home, they're going to be watching, in the case of my classes, they're going to be watching a video where, truth be told, in that video they're going to have that same content delivered by, well, a PowerPoint or a lecture style, so they're going to get that passive learning stuff at home. And then when we bring them and put them in a classroom, what happens is now they're surrounded by a lot of other students, and now they're doing the work that we used to assign as homework. So now they're doing the more active, where they have to do the work stuff in class. That's the flip. The lesson as such is done at home, and the homework, working with those questions, where now that's a more active learning, that happens in the classroom. Now that allows the teacher to wander around and interact with either groups of students or individual students, and if our student gets stuck again, A, he's surrounded by other classmates who might be able to help him out, or B, the teacher can go over and help him out and hopefully get him unstuck. And then we continue on with that. Now there are, I've found, several advantages to the flipped learning model. One of them is that the students can now move at their own pace. In other words, if a student is watching a video and didn't quite understand it, they can go back and watch it again or look at that little part again. They can, well, if they miss a class, now they have a chance to do better than just getting the notes from somebody. They can watch that lesson on their own time. I found that the classroom is much more interactive. So instead of just the teacher standing at the front, blah, 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 the teacher's now moving around and interacting with the students. And it does do, it's much more helpful that way as well. Help, as I mentioned, is available either from the teacher or from classmates. And finally, and this is one of the reasons why I started this, there's a little bit more student responsibility. The passive learning happens on the student's own time. It's now harder to not do your homework, because if you don't do your homework, it really shows up when you're in class and you're supposed to be doing the work. Now, if you don't, well, that's a problem. However, to try and manage that, what I will do, and I always commit to this, students will have a minimum of 2 days notice before a video has to be seen, so that if they know they're going to be busy the night before, it allows them to watch it the prior night to that. How is the course structured? Well, obviously there's got to be some videos, and I then run a website that the students will be given a link to. In fact, you probably got to this video through that link as well. And on that link, if you go to, on that website, it's divided up by topic, divided up by unit, and there'll be several videos. And you'll also notice that there's handouts. Now those handouts are generally going to be given out in class. So the only time you would need to get the handout from the website is if you missed the class and didn't get the handout, you're going to go away for an extra long holiday, or you lost the handout, oh, I forgot it at school. Not that you need to bring that handout home, but maybe you needed to study from it or something like that. This, I know, was a very brief introduction, and I hope that it made some sense. I hope that you'll find, or your students will find, that this model of learning, while it takes a bit of adjusting, is actually a very effective way to learn the course material. But we'll talk to somebody in class. See you later.